in the spirit of loving Sabrina, we're gonna talk about House Tour music video. His name is Jimothy, and everyone has fallen in love with him. Outer Banks season 5 out now.
Hi everyone, welcome to Variety's Up Next. I'm Tiana, and my guest today plays Sarah Cameron on Outer Banks. The 5th and final season is out now on Netflix. Please welcome Madelyn Cline.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for coming today. You've brought a little guest with you too,
I
off
did.
camera.
Wait, can he come?
Of course.
Come here! You're doing so good. Rodney on set.
Do you bring him on set often?
Yes, he's my set buddy.
He's your set
He's
bud?
my set buddy. Bye.
Like a quick hello?
He's very demure. He's very polite.
He seems very polite. And how long have you had him?
I've had him for 2 years, and the day after I got him, I brought him to the set of Outer Banks. So he's been my set dog forever. He's my set buddy. He loves a base camp. Like when we pull up to any base camp, like he gets really, really excited. And he loves to sniff around trailers. And his very first job on set was working in the costumes trailer.
Oh.
Yes.
Do we think we'll get him in the films or TV business at some point?
You know what? He was almost in Comeback King. But I didn't bring him that day.
But
I didn't
they
know.
needed a dog or something?
Yeah, we did. We had dogs.
I love it.
Yeah, but he wasn't. He was busy.
Okay, well, we'll get him working at some point, I'm sure. If he's on set.
Other things to attend to, like nap.
He must nap.
He naps a lot. He's a big napper. He's just like me. Yeah.
Soulmates.
Yeah, I think so.
I definitely want to dive into like how you got in the industry. I want to talk about what's next for you after Outer Banks. But first, we do have a little fishbowl sitting here with all the Google trends today for you. So
Okay,
it's everything people are searching about you today. So I'd love for you to like just pick one as an icebreaker and tell us what it says.
Ha! All right. Madelyn Cline House Tour.
House tour. Well, we know what that's from.
Yes, we do.
You were in the Sabrina Carpenter House Tour video.
Yes.
I have to assume that's what it is and not like give us a house tour.
I would imagine
of
so.
yours, maybe.
Yeah. And so in the spirit of loving Sabrina, we're gonna talk about House Tour music video.
Yes.
I met Sabrina a long time ago. We had the same manicurist, Zola, and I think that was around like 2021 or something. And so we've remained friends throughout the years. And I've always been a big Sabrina fan. A fan of her, but in her music and also just of her as a person. And so she texted me a few months ago and she was like, do you want to do a music video?
No big deal. You got the personal text then.
Yeah. And I was like, yes.
Well, yes.
Well, yes. And she was like, do you want to see like, concept, visual? And do you want to, do you even want to know what song it's for? I'm like, no, I like them all. I'm already mentally there. And I love House Tour. So we did it. We shot it over the course of 2 days, and it was just like us running around being girls, which was a dream.
When you got to set, what was the concept that she went through with you? Like, hey, we're just going to run around this house and be girls.
Yeah, so basically we're robbing a house.
Did you know who else was going to be in it as well?
Yeah, she told me it was going to be myself and Margaret Qualley. So I was like, well, that seems like dream trio to me.
Do you want to be in more music videos? Because you did one as well before Sabrina.
I did. I did. Yes, Hot Stuff. Kygo's music video. Yeah. But I think I might have peaked a little bit with Sabrina's.
Listen, there's going to be another video for sure that Sabrina's going to want out. And maybe you can...
Hey, maybe I'll hop back on. Maybe we can maybe we'll build the universe out. Same characters.
I think the fans would actually
Or
love
sing
that.
it.
So
Yeah,
don't even tease it.
The Sabrina verse is really fun.
I love it.
I love being a part of it.
I can't even imagine from starting out your career to like now being on like Sabrina Carpenter music videos. But I want to go back a little bit. What was your first experience in the industry? Like you used to model before you were acting, right? So what was that experience like, or like the first job you booked, even in modeling?
The very first job I booked, I think I was 9 or 10. And it was just like a local print magazine, or just a local magazine. And it was like a summer cover, and I didn't know it was going to be the cover until the magazine came out, and my mom and I were really excited because we were like, this is cool. And then from there, we were invited to New York to spend the summers. They call them like summer kids, or at the time they did. And it was, you know, they would bring kids to New York to these with their agents, and they would send them out on go-sees. Like, so our days in New York were just like from 9 a.m. to 4 or 5 would be running around to different go-sees with like my portfolio.
And
like
what's
my
a go-see for people who don't know?
So it basically means you go and see. It's pretty straightforward.
You go to, it's like a casting call?
Yeah, it's a casting call. It's for not an audition, but yeah, a casting call for models. And so we were running around with like the actual physical like portfolio, which was fun. And then afterwards, after we were finished running around for the day, we would meet up with all like some of the other kids and their moms, and we would go, I don't know, like we would run around like Times Square and go to Applebee's, or maybe go, I don't know, we would maybe go to dance class, or like the days we didn't have go-sees, we would go into like, you know, children's like acting intensives. So that was from the ages of, or that was from age 9 to probably like 13.
Were you somebody that was, as a kid, you went to your parents saying, I think I want to be in like some sort of entertainment industry, or
No.
How was that brought up?
No. Okay. So I was Christmas shopping at the mall with my Nana and my mom, and there was a local agency in Charleston called Millie Lewis, and they had set up like basically a little like a runway and kind of a talent showcase if for anyone who wanted to like walk up and do something. And so if you didn't have a talent, you just walk.
You just model?
Yeah. And which modeling is a talent.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No. Which, but I was a very, very shy child, and I was a child. I was a girl of very few words, and not very outgoing, but I told my mom I wanted to walk, and she was like, okay. So she let me, and then that's how that set everything else into motion. Yeah.
As a shy child, what like broke you out of that to be able to now like act and be on set? Like, was there a moment that you look back that you remember like that was like kind of definitive of I'm feeling less and less shy now?
Really, I think it was just a bunch of exposure therapy for me. I think the more I was forced to be out of my shell, the better I felt. And I think that's kind of where, it's interesting because I do still think and consider myself to be a very like internal person.
You'd say maybe you're more introverted?
Yeah, for sure. Like I think I do, like the way I recharge is quiet time or like quiet time with friends. But I think I learned and also fed off of like other people's energies when I was learning how to project my personality and become more outgoing. And I think it taught me a lot about myself, and it taught me about how to be vulnerable, and gave me a really nice perspective, I think. And because I think as a kid I was always very much, I was very quiet, but it was because I was always watching people. Like I would always like watch people's faces and their reactions and their micro expressions, and I would like, I was very sensitive to how everyone else felt.
Do you think maybe that might as well be an only child thing? You're an
For
only child, right?
sure.
So am I.
You are.
Yeah. I kind of feel like when you grow up around adults, maybe you grow up faster, but you're also like used to listening. I don't know.
I think so, because I was around adults quite a bit, obviously, because of all the work, and so I think I agree. I think I was quite mature for my age emotionally, but also, you know, a lot of the work does depend on the on validation and approval from people. So I think learning how to read a room and people's expressions was also kind of like survival in those situations.
Yeah, that's
You
a
know?
really good point. I like that you also said exposure therapy helped with that. I think that for if you're like introverted or have parts of you that are introverted, that helps to go do it.
Super. I still have to do it now. I have to force myself because I'm a hermit naturally, I think. Well, especially the older I get, the more I love to kind of like be inside.
I think that's fair.
I love the great indoors, but it's also, then I go out and I go to dinner and I don't know, or just go run errands. And I remember how nice it is, you know, to go out and like, I love an errand.
What's your favorite errand?
Probably, it's not even like a real errand, but it's probably going, I love the home section in Target.
Oh,
I
very
love
niche.
to go.
I love it.
I love an Erewhon. I love an unnecessary purchase.
What's
I
your
do love a
latest
pedicure.
unnecessary purchase?
What's my latest? That was kind of necessary. Okay, so I did spend a bunch of money on a vintage NASCAR suit because we went to Texas for the 4th of July for like a big friends and family party, 3-day celebration. And one of the night, and it's all themed. So like one of the night's parties was everyone picks a state.
Okay.
So I picked Florida for NASCAR. So did I have to go and get an actual NASCAR suit? No. But it was for the bid and it was for the plot.
Honestly, it sounds like a necessary purchase to me.
Okay,
Theme
great.
party, I think you're good.
Yeah.
But you mentioned obviously like friends and family party. Were your parents pretty supportive of you wanting to pursue acting when that change came?
They were supportive. I think they were really, really nervous and not stoked about moving to LA or dropping out of college.
When you dropped out of college, yeah. Because are they back in South Carolina
They
still?
are.
Okay, so you moved on your own to LA then.
Correct. And not that they weren't supportive at all. They always were, but I think it was just I had never been to LA before I moved. They hadn't either. So I think the unknown for them was really nerve-wracking, and I think I was just so enthusiastic and excited. One, to not be in college.
What did you study in college?
I didn't even declare a major. But I think I was gonna probably declare like English. Because I didn't want to go to film school. And the BFA program scared me. So I figured I would do something else, which English and literature, that was always my favorite. Those were always my favorite classes.
That makes sense. I feel like if you're interested in
Books
acting and like
characters,
yeah, of
and,
course,
you know,
that comes in handy.
Dissecting.
So how long were
stories.
you in college before you decided I'm going to drop out and I'm going to move to LA and pursue
I think
acting?
it was like 6 weeks.
Okay, wow,
Yeah,
you really
it-
were like, it's not for me.
Oh, well, I asked my parents if they would support me taking a gap year, and they said absolutely not. And they said no, but I knew in my heart that I was going to. I was going for the 4 years, make them happy, and then I was gonna like end up moving. I thought it was gonna be New York, but it ended up being LA. But I decided, you know what? Because I booked a couple of roles while I was in school, and they were in Atlanta. So I was having to drive back and forth between Myrtle Beach and Atlanta. And I finally missed too many days. And and I went and spoke to the dean, and they were very supportive, but they also said, hey, there's simply nothing we can do it gets to a point where you do have to attend your classes.
Sure. Yes, of course.
Totally. And I was like, okay, fair point. So I called my mom and I was like, Mom, I'm leaving college. And she said, okay, I'll handle your dad.
I'll handle your dad.
Yeah. So they've always been, I don't think it was their favorite decision, but I think I was just so determined, and I had a one-track mind, which was, okay, well, this is what's going to happen now. And a lot of the money that, I had made and saved up from working as a kid went towards my first however many months of renting out here.
Well, that's amazing, though.
Which was good, which was really good. So also at some point I was like, Mom, Dad, I love y'all, but it's my money.
I gotta go do what I gotta do.
This is what I have to do, and if it doesn't work out, it doesn't. But I was young and confident enough to believe that it would.
Tell me a little bit about when you first moved to LA. What's the first thing you did? Because you had mentioned you hadn't been before.
No, the first thing I did was go to Carney's.
Okay.
Because I heard Carney's was really, really good.
And what were your thoughts?
It gave me a tummy ache.
You're like, welcome to LA. Cool.
I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
But also, I kept thinking, because on Tumblr, like 2014, 15 Tumblr, it was like In and Out and palm trees and like pink filter and King Kylie. You know what I mean? Like it was.
You were probably big on the 2016 throwback trend and everything. You were like,
oh, I love it.
The nostalgia.
Super. So that's what I had in my head LA looked like and felt like, and I realized that's not.
How long from when you moved to LA did you book your first role?
I think it was I was here for 8 months, and then it was Boy Erased.
Okay.
Was the first one, and then I worked at a self-taping studio to help tape other actors' auditions, which I also think, and I was taking acting classes as well, and I think that was a huge help because I was watching and helping other actors make choices.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, that was really, really informative too, because sometimes I would get the same auditions and I realized that, like we're all very connected and we do make some of the same choices. Like,
it's interesting to see what's different too. Like I would have done this with the character,
100%.
Yeah. And did you film your Outer Banks audition in this studio?
No, actually, that was I wasn't working there anymore at that point. One of my friends from back home ended up filming it in their apartment.
Did you audition via self-tape in LA, or were you back
in
home?
LA?
In LA, okay.
But I didn't get in the room in LA.
So what happened? How did you finally land the role?
Because I wasn't blonde.
So you dyed your hair and auditioned again?
So I went and soaked it in a bunch of sun-in, and then I like took a blow dryer to it for God knows how long until it lightened it, and then still couldn't get an audition for it because it was like everyone I knew, like all my friends were auditioning for it.
You remember what scene you read?
There was one scene that they had me read, but it was Kiara and John B. And it was because Lisa May Fincannon, who we love so much, she was the Southeastern casting director. And I had known her for years after auditioning so much. She said, just send in this scene, this tape, and I think I think if I can get you in front of the producers, they're going to want to fly you to Charleston to audition. But I think she's like, I really see you as Sarah Cameron.
So when you were in person at that point, were you blonde?
No, I was that orange sun and brunette.
It's crazy how like just a hair color they can be like, you know what, maybe.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's interesting because everyone told me that they wanted Sarah to be blonde, but then when I auditioned for it and I got the part, when we started talking hair color, our creators said they didn't want me to be blonde anymore. They liked the honey, like the light honey brown that I had. But then season 2, I went blonde because I wanted to. Yeah. In between all the adventures, when does she have time to go get her highlights touched up?
Did you know when you were signing on that it was going to be this like physically vigorous? No. I think it got progressively more physical. Like after season 2, 3 was very, go.
I mean, I think season from 2 onwards, like they progressively did get more and more physically demanding.
Did you ever get a script and like see how much physical activity was in it? And you were like,
all the time.
Was there one in particular you were like, oh, that's going to be interesting?
Oh God, there's so many.
You're like, where do I start?
The whole season 3 and 4.
I
know. And I'm trying to, it's funny how many things I forget. But I think in season 2, like a lot of our Barbados, like the car chases, I would think, how the hell are we going to film this? The El Dorado cave.
I was thinking that's the scene I had in mind.
Because we shot in an actual cave.
Oh.
Yeah. So it wasn't a set. We were in, I can't remember the name of the cave. So it was also in Barbados. Beautiful, but I'm claustrophobic.
Oh, perfect.
I was really struggling, and I would get really, really nervous after spending so many hours in the cave about the oxygen levels, which would make me panic more. And we were swimming, we were in the water in the caves underground, and you get into a cave and they were allowing us to film and be in parts of the cave you're not supposed, they don't normally let people go in. And they had us, there was a huge cavern, and then there was a big pool, and then so they had us, and then at just beyond the pool is a waterfall, and into a much smaller cavern that gets more and more small, and there's no light. So we're hiding from the cameras in this really, really small cave space. You shine the flashlight, and it goes so deep that at some point the flashlight doesn't work. And I'm just thinking of those videos that I see of people's, is it spelunking?
What's that?
It's like cave diving.
Oh.
Or the people that go into caves and get stuck.
Well, you're thinking this is me next.
Yeah. It's like, oh no. Right. So they did have to give me a Xanax. And I did it.
That's fair. I mean, that is scary. And you were in a lot of small spaces. Now that you mention it, I can think of several scenes, not just that one, where they've stuck you in.
Yes.
You were underground in the
they
sewer
know
system.
This. And they knew this about me. I was like, guys, I'm really scared. And the under the cemetery, the rats.
Yes.
Those were real rats.
Great.
Which rats are very smart, but very sweet.
They're misunderstood.
They are misunderstood. But I felt bad because I was like, I don't want to be in this water, and they don't want to either.
Aww.
You know what
sympathy for the rats.
I know. I'm like, if I don't want to be here.
Yeah. They don't even know what's going on.
Yeah. But I will say, to our production, to give them the utmost credit, every single thing that I ever read in a script that I looked at and thought, how the hell are we going to pull this off? They always pulled it off.
They always did.
Yeah.
At the end of season 4, Sarah finds out she's pregnant, and you had actually told Variety that you didn't want to wear a baby bump for season 5. Was that because it was so demanding and you knew there was going to be a lot of physical work?
If we established it, it would have been, I think, really, really difficult to pull off some of the things written in the script physically. And also on top of that, shooting with a silicone bump in the height of summer.
They're heavy, right?
They're heavy, and it the heat index goes up to like 105, 10 degrees. And I just didn't think that they were going to get the performance out of me that they wanted.
That's fair. I love that you actually felt comfortable enough to speak up and say that too.
I think it just ultimately boiled down to, and you'll see in season 5 too, there are also like lots of physically demanding asks that I don't think I would have been able to. I don't think it would have given them the result they wanted.
Without giving away any spoilers, were you happy with the ending of season 5?
Yes. Yeah. I think we tied the bow very, very nicely.
How do you feel looking back on season 5? Because I assume you'd filmed this over a year ago. Were you ready to close the chapter, or do you miss it now, kind of seeing it back out in the world?
I think we were all ready to close the chapter. I think we came to a point where we realized that the story that we wanted and needed to tell had been told. And I think I miss the nostalgia of going back to set every year and having so many memories kind of like come flooding back, like our old locations, like all the old haunts that we have as a cast. There's so many good memories we have. So yeah, I miss the experience of it for sure.
Yeah. I can imagine that. You see it out in the world, you're like, oh, good
7
times, but you're ready.
years, a long time.
And you were away months filming when you were, so
Yeah.
it felt like probably you couldn't take on as many other projects as you wanted because you're on location filming, and now you filmed 2 movies coming out next year.
Yes. Well, I just wrapped on a movie called Comeback King, or The Comeback King, with Glenn Powell and Judd Apatow and many, many amazing comedians.
What was Judd like as a director? That would be amazing.
He's so funny. It was genuinely one of the most, if not, no, I think probably the most fun I've ever had shooting a project. Like, a comedy is so much fun, and also a really, really wonderful like palate cleanser after, kind of coming off of Outer Banks and being a little bit sad about a big chapter closing. And I love comedy. And I also, the physical demands of Outer Banks kind of as a contrast to showing up to work every day and being able to laugh. The amount of times that Glenn and I made each other break, and coming up with a really, really funny joke with Judd or Glenn in the moment, the improv, the character of it all. It was just so much fun. It was really honestly a dream.
Do you want to do more comedies?
Yeah, I'd love to.
Yeah.
It really was. It was a really fun. It was just a dream. It really was. And Judd is really funny. He sits at his monitor and he has a microphone, and there's a speaker in the room that where we are, and we do our scenes, whatever. And then we get into we start kind of honing in on where the jokes are in the scenes, and we just go back and forth with jokes that he's like, now say this or say that. And I really loved how Glenn and I would come to the table with something, and then Judd would zero in on something that he saw, and then we would get really, really specific. It was like coming with the kitchen sink and then like diving in really deep, which was, it was a great collaboration.
You also have a film coming out in March 2027, Day Drinker. Talk to me a little bit about that project as well.
That one we shot right before the 5th season of Outer Banks. It's directed by Mark Webb, who is lovely, amazing. I'm a fan of his as a director. And that one was much more serious.
Of course.
We shot it in Spain. That one is more of a thriller, psychological thriller horror.
Are you a little bit of a scream queen?
I mean, I did come off of I Know What You Did Last Summer,
Exactly.
which I love. I Know What You Did Last Summer because I love camp. I love camp and I love comedy. But yeah, it was a much more intense one though. So I realized it's been really, really wonderful, and I feel really lucky to have been able to film these movies that are so different in tone and characters, because
it shows that you have range as well.
I think range is one thing, but when you immerse yourself into the like filming and a character, and you're in a headspace or a particular headspace every single day, I feel like you kind of start to mind meld with your character and the story a little bit. So it's interesting, the mindset, and each different mindset I almost feel like I've been in for each different movie, and how like sitting with the characters almost starts to inform you as a person, and then
you start to
vice
pick up traits of
versa.
them or something.
Yeah, it's like art imitating life, imitating art, kind of. I don't know. Everything starts to. I don't know. Everything starts to blend together or mesh together, which is really interesting. So yeah, like coming off of Comeback King, me being so like, I don't know, being so happy and so like everything is funny, and then coming off of another project and feeling a little bit, somber, a little forlorn. And then coming off of Outer Banks and being exhausted, not pregnant.
Not pregnant.
That doesn't blend.
Let's separate that. That's art.
That's where hard line.
Lastly, before I let you go, I hear you're chronically online. Is this true?
Yes, I am. I really am.
What's like your favorite meme right now?
Right now it's Jimothy the raccoon. His spine is really, really short. And his name, he lives in Seattle, and his name is Jimothy. And everyone has fallen in love with him, and that's really funny too, because KJ Appa and I used to always call each other Jimmy, Jonathan, or Jimothy.
So you're sending him this meme.
So we both at the same when Jimothy became famous, we both sent each other the meme, and we were like, what the fuck?
Life imitating art again.
How did this? Who knows about Jimothy?
I'm obsessed.
He's really cute.
Since you are chronically online, I would love to end this with one of my favorite trends, the wow, okay. The trend where you say like enthusiastic, disappointed.
Okay. Oh no, I'm scared.
No, I would love for you to do to this camera, Outer Banks season 5 out now, and do one enthusiastic, one disappointed, sarcastic, and flirty.
The first one is enthusiastic.
First one, enthusiastic.
Okay. Outer Banks season 5 out now.
No. I love it. That was great. Disappointed.
Outer Banks season 5 out now.
Sarcastic.
Outer Banks season 5 out now.
Lastly, we'll end on flirty.
Outer Banks season 5 out now.